Welcome to The Excellent Way, a podcast where we have conversations about reframing the way you train, the way you eat, the way you sleep, and the way you think so that you can build the health you've always wanted so that you can live excellent.
What is up, guys? It is Coach B back with The Excellent Way. Thank you for joining me for this next episode. It's a little bit late because I lost my voice and you can kind of still hear it, but I'm going to try and power through this anyway because we're at the end of January and I want to talk about something really important. Every year, people make New Year's resolutions to get their money right, to get their life right, and the big one is get their fitness right. And at this point in the month of January, almost 80% of people have given up on their New Year's resolution. And that to me is sad. In fact, at this point in January, because we're only like 3-4 days out to the end of January. At this point in January, it's actually closer to 90% of people have quit going to the gym and quit trying on their nutrition. And that's not what I'm about. I'm about seeing people succeed. So today, we're going to talk about the 5 reasons why I think CrossFit is the best way to stick to your New Year's resolution. So if you've fallen off the wagon, I'm going to talk to you today about why CrossFit is the best for that. And I'm going to encourage you to, maybe you were going to a local gym, maybe it's time to go check out a CrossFit gym. Maybe it's even my CrossFit gym. But let's hear me out and see what you think by the end of this, okay? So reason number 1, CrossFit is the only fitness entity that has an actual working definition of fitness, which is, to boil it down into one statement, work capacity across broad time and modal domains through a lifetime. Meaning, we want to see how much work capacity you have, how many sets, reps, how much distance can you cover, how much weight can you move, all of that stuff over all kinds of different varying domains, weightlifting, gymnastics, cardiovascular tests. Can we combine them all? Can we combine a couple? We're going to test all of that and make sure that our system is being tested so that we have a usable level of fitness for a lifetime. And to be really clear, CrossFit has this idea that on kind of a continuum, we all live on this continuum between sickness, wellness, and fitness. And if you bias your life towards fitness, then you have a hedge against sickness. So if something actually does happen to you, you fall back to wellness. If you're just barely at wellness and you get sick, you get sick. And now you've got something that you have to deal with and climb back to wellness. CrossFit says, hey, what if we build a fitness that's a hedge against sickness? Well, that's what we want to do. And so we're going to do that by training in a very specific way. Now, CrossFit also has what they call 10 general physical skills. And those 10 general physical skills are tested every day in our workouts. And just so you know, the 10 general physical skills, we're going to talk about that in a different podcast. But CrossFit says, hey, of the 10 general physical skills, you are as fit as you are weak in any of those 10 skills. So we need to make sure we're shoring up our fitness across the spectrum of physical capacity, okay? The other thing about CrossFit is it talks about setting goals on a distant horizon, meaning I'm not trying to get somewhere right now. I'm gonna set this goal out on a distant horizon so the trajectory is low, so the expectations can stay, I don't wanna say realistic, but essentially that's what it is. It keeps you moving forward towards a goal. It never seems insurmountable. Right? Saying I want to lose 100 pounds, that's okay. Let's lose 100 pounds. But by when? What's a wise decision to say, hey, I want to lose 100 pounds by this day? Well, how far out is that? Is it in 30 days? That's probably not realistic. But there are programs out there that'll promise you that. It doesn't work, but they'll promise it. Now, here's the thing. CrossFit says, hey, this is about maintaining your fitness through a lifetime. So, okay, let's say we set that goal to lose 100 pounds out on, let's say, a 2-year horizon. I want to see you lose 100 pounds in 2 years. That's realistically doable. That's a pound a week. You can lose a pound a week, okay? Well, let's say we get to that weight loss goal. Now what? Now what do we do? Well, let's set a new goal and keep ourselves moving forward. Okay, so that's number 1. There's a definition of fitness and how to get there. Okay. Number 2 is that CrossFit has built a systemized approach to building usable fitness. Many people critique CrossFit as being random. It is not random. It is varied. It is constantly varied. And it's not like there was that buzz term in like the early 2000s. It was like, oh, muscle confusion. There's no such thing. That's a buzz term. CrossFit comes along and says, hey, we are going to constantly vary our fitness so that we have capacity in many different aspects of fitness, of movement, of human capacity. We're going to do that by setting movement standards in the way we move, right? Many of the videos that you see of people attempting CrossFit-like things, they aren't necessarily always moving within a movement standard that a coach like myself or any of my coaches would say, yeah, that's a good movement standard. YouTube and Instagram and TikTok are not great places to see that play out. Most of the time because those people aren't necessarily being monitored by a coach. Now, some of them are, and they just haven't been corrected by a coach yet. But if you're in a CrossFit class, not only are we going to teach you how to move, we're going to hold you to that standard so that you can minimize your risk of injury. And any program that tells you they prevent injury, that's not really good verbiage. You can minimize the risk of injury, but it's pretty impossible to prevent it. But we can definitely minimize it if we're moving to a movement standard. And that's what CrossFit is looking for. People don't understand this, but when you go take the CrossFit Level 1 certificate course, the thing that gets preached to us in that Level 1 introductory course is something called mechanics, consistency, intensity. It is the key charter as a CrossFit coach that we're trying to push. We want to make sure that you are mechanically sound in any movement that you do. And we want to make sure that you're mechanically sound consistently. And then and only then are we going to say, okay, let's add some intensity to that. What does intensity look like? Well, that could be, I want you to move faster, or I want you to do more reps in this amount of time, which is moving faster, but it's a different approach, right? Or maybe it's, hey, I want you to lift a heavier weight. But until you are moving really, really well, I don't want you to do those things because I want you to mitigate your risk of injury as much as possible while still pushing the edge of your capacity. And that happens if we train with that in mind. Mechanics first, move consistently well, and then we'll add some intensity to it, okay? CrossFit also looks at training very differently. Instead of looking at it in body parts and muscle groups, we say, hey, we've got mechanical systems and we've got energy systems, and we're going to train those systems in a varied but systemized way so that we can tackle long distance or long time domains or really short domains. Like, when's the last time, like for my runners out there, you go running all the time to accumulate distance. When's the last time you did some 100-meter sprints? Probably almost never, or maybe high school or even longer. When's the last time you did some 50-meter sprints? Probably almost never. So now you've lost that capacity or a good portion of that capacity. Well, what happens if you have to sprint to something? You haven't built that capacity, so it's going to suck a lot more than it would if you had trained and been prepared for that, right? It's also like, I'm going to hand you a light weight and you're going to look at me like, I can lift more than this. I know, but I want you to lift this consistently good. And I want you to do that over the course of 50, 90, 150 reps. Can you do that? Can you maintain good form with light weight over 150 reps? And then if I hand you a really heavy weight that's on the edge of your ability to lift it, can you maintain good mechanics with heavy weight? I'd like to see that happen. And if you're working with a good CrossFit gym and a good CrossFit coach, those challenges are going to happen, okay? Number 3, CrossFit is very specifically and infinitely scalable, okay? The guy that invented CrossFit, his name's Greg Glassman, Coach Greg Glassman. He has a saying that you should be able to have your Navy SEAL and your grandmother in the same class, and they still get a workout in, a good workout for them. And that's where scalability comes in. There's a lot of folks that I talk to that are very afraid of doing CrossFit, but I'm here to tell you, I have grandparents in both of my gyms who are very strong and very fit. And when they started, they were a little tentative about CrossFit, but we coached them up and now they're long-term members of our gyms and they're in their 60s. Some of them in their mid and late 60s. And they're still doing CrossFit and they're still lifting weights and they're still working on things like pull-ups and push-ups and squats. And they're keeping themselves strong. While they're in class, I should be able to have somebody who's maybe training for, we have a lot of young guys and young girls right now training to get into the police force or the fire department. I have to push them in a different way, but they both still have to move well. And if I've got a movement in a workout, how do I make sure that my Navy SEAL, my firefighter, my police officer, or my grandmother get a good workout and are safe moving and are still getting the appropriate stimulus for the workout? Well, a coach is going to know how to do that because they've been taught by a CrossFit system that teaches them how to, hey, for this movement, if they're not there yet, here's a step back. Oh, they're not there yet? Here's a step back. Oh, they're not there yet? Here's a step back. And it's all based around what I was talking about earlier. We look at the body instead of as a body part, we look at what's the mechanical system here, right? Pull-ups, people think of pull-ups as a back exercise or an arm exercise. Really, it's both. It's a mechanical system. It's a vertical pull. Okay, well, how can I, if I have somebody in my class who can't do a pull-up, how do I get them good at vertical pulling without having them have to do a pull-up? Well, let's figure out how to scale that so you can learn how to do that and build the strength to do that in the context of a class. Okay? The other thing about it too is it's this idea of performance over aesthetics. We scale workouts to maintain a stimulus within a workout. Like, I want you to feel this way in a workout because we're aimed at the performance of that workout. Now, the cool thing is if you emphasize getting performance out of your body, the aesthetics of your body will start to change. AKA, you're going to start losing some of that fat and gaining some of that muscle, and you're going to have that lean, toned look that we all want. I talk to people all the time. It's like, I don't really want to get big, but I just want to get toned. I want to tone up. Well, to tone up means that you have to add some lean muscle mass to your frame and reduce your body fat. Well, here's the thing. Our bodies respond to stimulus. They respond to intensity. They respond to, hey, I need this to happen, so I need the body to be as efficient as possible at doing that. And so when you give them that repeated stimulus of, hey, you have to be good at all these different things, the aesthetics of your body are going to change so that you can become more efficient over time at those things. The less fat mass we carry, the easier it is for our body to be efficient. So if you aim your end goals at performance-oriented goals, the aesthetics typically follow, okay? And so when we approach a workout with my Navy SEAL or my grandmother, I'm going to scale so that they can perform that workout the way it's been designed to get a specific response from your body, okay? So there's a plan behind what we do. And all of that boils down to number 4, even though we're not at the end yet, we still have one more, right? Number 4 is the coaching inside of CrossFit gyms. A CrossFit gym worth their salt takes coaching very seriously. Coaches in CrossFit gyms are not just babysitters. They're there to make sure that you are guided through your workout in a way that says, hey, this workout is trying to achieve this thing and this is how you should feel. So in this list of movements, I need you to scale to where you will feel like this at the end of the workout. That's going to come from a coach that takes very seriously holding standards really high, movement standards and stimulus standards. It's also going to come from coaches who take developing very seriously. They're going to look at their roster of people in their class and go, okay, this person is in my class and they've got a shoulder problem, and this person over here, they've got a knee problem, and we've got squats and presses today. So how am I going to modify these movements for these folks to keep them getting a good workout? They take it very seriously, and so now they go out and they educate themselves and they develop as coaches And then a group of coaches inside of a gym develop alongside each other, because as we learn, we make each other better and we challenge each other and we share those knowledges with each other. And the other thing is, I have a degree in exercise science. I spent time certified through the American College of Sports Medicine, through Spartan Race, through ISSA, through American Council on Exercise. I've had a ton of different certifications. I can tell you right now, the entity that takes the certification and development of their coaches the most seriously is CrossFit. The CrossFit education system is the best in the industry, and it's not close, because their emphasis is actually working hands-on with clients, understanding how to get people to move better. In fact, I went through a whole degree program. I went through the American College of Sports Medicine certification program. I worked with cancer rehab. I worked with cardiac rehab. I worked with pediatric rehab. The CrossFit Level 1 was the first time I'd ever been taught how to correct an air squat or a shoulder press or a push-up or a pull-up. It was the first time I've ever been taught how to teach it and how to correct it if somebody doesn't move correctly. They're the only ones that do it because it's that important to them. So if you don't understand how to move really well and you're not sure, am I doing this movement right? You need to be in a CrossFit gym. If you're at a regular gym and you go, I don't really know what to do, you need to be at a CrossFit gym, because a CrossFit gym is going to take care of that for you and start educating you on how to do that really well, okay? Coaching is a very serious thing in CrossFit gyms, and it's a very serious thing in my gyms. Now, the last thing about CrossFit, and the reason why I think it's the best out there to help you reach your health and fitness goals, is because it is the most holistic approach contained into one vessel. The CrossFit development of an athlete has a base of nutrition. We're going to talk about how to clean up your nutrition as a part of CrossFit. In fact, for my CrossFitters out there, if you are not paying attention to your nutrition, you are not doing CrossFit. There's a very specific prescription for nutrition within CrossFit. And if you aren't taking that seriously, you're not actually doing CrossFit. So that's something I want to challenge you with. If you're a current CrossFitter, you need to get your nutrition in line. Now, if you're not a current CrossFitter and you don't know what to do with nutrition, because I heard this on the internet and then I saw this on TikTok and I saw this on Instagram and then my aunt on Facebook told me about this thing, that's all noise. CrossFit has boiled it down into a system for nutrition that makes it very, very simple. And in 20 years of being a fitness professional, it is by far the most potent nutrition prescription I have ever seen. And it works on everybody. CrossFit even done poorly works. CrossFit done the way it's designed is unbelievably powerful. In fact, it is unmatched in its ability to change your physical fitness, your physical health. It's not even close. And when it comes to nutrition, there's one chunk of a paragraph. It's called World-Class Fitness in 100 Words. If you want to read the whole thing, you can just Google that, World-Class Fitness in 100 Words. I bet you could Google fitness in 100 words. It'd probably come up. And the first chunk of that is eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. Keep intake at levels that support exercise, but not body fat. So wait, fitness, world-class fitness begins with what I eat? Yes. And if you take it seriously and you do it consistently, it will change your entire life. There are people who have just done the CrossFit prescription of nutrition and not done any of the exercise and not gone to a CrossFit gym. They just did CrossFit nutrition and lost a ridiculous amount of weight because they cleaned up their diet. And the way CrossFit approaches it makes it simple. And here's the other thing too. When we talk to our clients, we're like, look, we realize real life happens. And so we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for consistency. And we kind of give it to you on a grading scale, right? If you want an A+ body, you got to give me A+ effort, which means you've got to be perfect all the time. It's really tough. But if you want an A, well, that's 90%. Okay, I could do 90% of the time and save 10% to, go hang out with my friends and have a meal and not stress about it. If I'm okay with a B body, okay, 80% of the time I'm thinking about it, I'm focused, I'm making sure my nutrition's dialed in, and 20% of the time I'm at the office Christmas party, or I'm at the, the barbecue with the in-laws or whatever, and I'm not worried about it. And it makes life livable over the long term, right? The other thing about CrossFit is, aside from the training, aside from the diet, it's also about intensity management. There is a specific set of work and rest ratios within your week and within your month to follow, to say, hey, if you want to maintain your gains over the long term, you have to manage your rest as well. And that is built into the system. It's a holistic approach on keeping your fitness moving forward and your physical health moving forward over a lifetime, not just over a year. So if you are struggling with your New Year's resolution to lose the weight, to get healthy, to get off your medications, one of the biggest things that has happened in our gym is getting people off of things like diabetes medications and blood pressure medications and cholesterol medications and depression medications. We've been able to help people wean off of those because they change their health. If you want to do that and you've already struggled and even failed trying to do it on your own in a regular gym, you need to be in a CrossFit gym. Why? Because we have a definition of fitness that we work towards. We have a broad and systemized approach to get you there. We have specific and infinite scalability based on your ability level. We take coaching very seriously, and the approach is so holistic that it will change your whole life. So my challenge to you is, if you're in a CrossFit gym, think through all of that. Are you approaching CrossFit the way it's supposed to be done? And if you're not in a CrossFit gym, maybe it's time you go to your local CrossFit gym and check it out. Maybe even mine. Our CrossFit gym is CrossFit ELM. We have one in Commerce City and we have one in Thornton. If you go to CrossFitELM.com, you'll find us. All right, guys, that's it for The Excellent Way. We'll see you in the box.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Excellent Way. If you or a loved one need help building your excellent life, reach out to us at www.crossfitelm.com.